Today, the Kubota, it's leaking right by the valve. It might have a broken valve stem or rusted rim. It's hard to say, but it's definitely the tire is leaking. So today we're gonna pull this big old tire off, and we're gonna break the bead and get it off that rim. Check the rim. It's probably gonna be rusty, and see what we can do to fix it. So this is pretty common. What you have is a rusted out rim. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to take this tire off and rebuild this rim up with metal. And we use a washer as a starting point for the inner tube. So we just go get a galvanized washer and then build it up with some steel and just do a really good job grinding it and smoothing it. So it looks like it's just wasted. So we'll get that figured out here. Now we're using the excavator to break the bead and also help push out the fluid. This had weighted rear tires filled with fluid. So we're getting closer. It's going to take a bit to get all that out and then break that bead. So it took me about 10 minutes using an excavator to break this bead. It will require an excavator, or you're gonna have to take it to a tire shop like Les Schwab. These beads are welded on. This tire probably hasn't been off for 20 years, maybe longer. So next step is getting it off the rim. So ideally you want 3 tire irons. You want good ones. So you see I have 2 cheap ones and a good one. I use the excavator to pinch it down and then get that other groove out. Woo! It's like wrestling a buffalo. Okay, after some significant wrestling and cussing, and this tire and tube were just welded on here from time. So as you can see, there's a big hole. So I'm gonna have to build all that up with some steel. I'm gonna use some plate steel and heat it, weld it. First thing is gonna have to do a body brush and grind this thing hardcore. So this is a 1977 Kubota L245DT, and to get this tire rim repaired, we're gonna have to just add some material to it. And like I said earlier, I said we'll just use a galvanized washer to start for the tube stem, and then build off that with some plate steel. So I'm not gonna make videos of all the work and stuff, but these videos are just here to help you find your way and with suggestions, so you don't have to like attempt to order a rim on Amazon, which doesn't even exist, and then do the old way and fix it yourself. Okay, good luck. I'll post more when it's done. All right, so I skipped the grinding video, but we ground it with a body wheel. It's quite a terrible process. Right here, wear a respirator, and then now we just mixed a solution of muriatic acid and water, and that's going to oxidize this rust off here into clean iron. So might have to do it a few times because might not be much left of the rim after we do it a few times. But to get this ready to weld on, we got to get all that rust off for both paint and welding. So muriatic acid, I use 50, like a third to water. So 2/3 water, 1/3 really gets it done. They say 10 to 1, but a third really works. Remember, it's acid. Wear goggles, wear gloves. Okay, so now we power washed off the muriatic acid and made this sheen, this sort of gloss. And that's the rust is now deactivated. So this is the perfect time to prime and do whatever you want to the metal so that you can get something to stick to it. And as you can see, there's the hole still. So we're gonna have to fit a piece of flat steel in there and then a piece of angle steel, and just sort of build it up and weld it in until the hole is patched. We'll post a update video next. Okay, so now I found this piece of steel. It's pretty decent. It's gonna it's probably 16 gauge. I marked it, so I'm gonna put that there. going to cut it. And so I'm going to use a torch, heat it up, and I'll probably tack the one side right here. I can't hold the phone and do this. But I'll probably tack it on this side right here, right in the middle. And then I'll come out and use a torch and get it nice and red hot and try to shape it to the inside rim. And as I shape it, I'll try to tack it in until I follow the rim line so we can get that in there. And that'll cover that big thin spot. You can see how the muriatic acid did its job, did a great job, broke down all that rust. So this weld in will be a great thing. We also need to clean up that edge. So I'm going to take a plasma cutter and cut that edge out so it's clean, so we can get a nice clean weld after on the opposite side of that edge. Okay, so here we are doing the patch, and as you can see, what I do is I do a little weld, and then I pound, weld, pound. The welding heats the steel. May not even have to use a torch. And I just work my way slowly, working it, getting the shape of it, using a standard ball peen hammer. And it's good to keep going so it's hot and keeps malleable. So I'll start doing this other side, get that in before we do that lip. Okay, we're going to take a little break here. As you can see, I slowly stitched it using 3 different size ball peen hammers. And as I got to there, that is going to have to be nipped off because we can't, the tire bead's going to have to fit on the rim. So we gotta slice that off a little bit, and probably this other corner up here, so that the tire can seat to the rim properly when we're done. But as you see, just by stitching this plate on, we turned a flat piece of steel into a curve. You just weld one little tack at a time, and then the final step will be a grind and a one weld all the way around to try to clean it up, and then we'll really grind on it and coat it real well with paint and primers to get it smooth. So it's possible to fix your Kubota tire. Stay tuned for the next step. Okay, we use the plasma cutter. We cut that little edge off right there, rounded it up. So it's getting shaped like the wheel there. You can see. Now we're going to finish tapping and welding it all the way around. And we are not going to put the valve stem in this location. We're going to cut a new valve stem hole, start fresh, and put a washer around it for stability. All right, so the patch is on. Been grinding it. Had to add some filler welds to make it smooth. But if you see the edges there, they're actually pretty smooth. And then the inside, that's what it looks like. We're gonna have to wire wheel all the rim down, paint it with something. The paint that they sell at the hardware store that says Kubota, John Deere, whatever, those paints don't work. Don't waste your money on them. Just use Rust-Oleum orange. That stuff works. All right, so we plasma cut a little hole in the side, and then to make it perfect, we added a washer. So now I'm gonna grind on it a little bit. We picked a new spot to put a hole because the patch was just too thin. So we picked a thick spot on the rim for a hole for the new inner tube filler stem, valve stem. All right, so now the grinding, and now we can start painting. Yay! And then I'm going to show you a trick for that patch over there. We're going to use some, it's like patch tape, vinyl tape. We're going to put it over that patch to prevent any abrasion or tube wear. You can use Gorilla Tape also, but the vinyl tape works the best. All right, the rim is almost ready to paint and get back on the tractor. All right, so now we just painted some Rust-Oleum rust primer. So we started with the body wheel, ground off all the loose stuff. Then we hit it with the, show you here, wherever it's at, buried in here, muriatic acid. and let it set overnight, mixed with 2/3 water, 1/3 muriatic acid, painted it on, and then we power washed that off. Then we ground it off again, and then we started our welding, but we first used the plasma cutter to cut open the hole and get a cleaner edge rather than a rust edge. And we made a new hole for the stem, and we did the plasma cut hole, and then we added a washer to give it the perfect round bend there. It's a hard hole to cut at an angle, and that will prevent further rust out. So this rim will probably outlast the tractor 245DT, which runs great. Replaced all the seals and went through that tractor when we got it from top to bottom, and it's been a really amazing tractor. As you see the John Deere next to it, not even comparable. So the next step is paint. We're going to use Rust-Oleum oil base, paint it on with a brush, and nice hot day, and that'll set for a day and bake on, and then we're going to put our tube and tire back on, and we should be good to go. We'll see. Stay tuned. Okay, it's all painted. Some Rust-Oleum gloss black we had laying around. Did the inside too, and let that bake on in the sun for a few days, and then that oil-based paint gets right into all those cracks and crevices and bonds with the metal. So it's important to let that cure now, let that set up. Took 25 minutes using an excavator to break the bead on this tire because it was welded to the rim with rust and corrosion. Probably been on there for 25 years. Longer, maybe since the 70s. Who knows? So we're almost there, folks. A few more steps and we'll complete this how to fix your Kubota tractor rim video series. And these are just motivators and tips and tricks. Good old farm. People might ask what I use. I use the little Plasma 50, Cut 50, and Miller-Matic 130, and really great all-around welder. And this is a body brush, heavy duty. You got to wear a lot of protection. The things will fly off and stick in your skin. And a bunch of ball peen hammers, banging on it. Remember, you stitch it on there and go spot weld by spot weld and stitch it on, and the patch will figure itself out. All right, we'll get to the next video here and show you how to get that tire on and back on the tractor. All right, welcome back. So as you see, the tire is back on the rim, and I think this is the right rim. Let's take a look. Yeah, definitely the right rim. You can see the patch there, the new valve stem. So I did not make a video, but before I put the tire on, I cleaned up. I wire brushed the edge of the tire, got all the loose rust off it, cleaned it out inside and out. I sprayed it and wiped it down with silicone spray to try to re-moisten it. New tube, and we used a lube to get the tire seated properly and on smoothly, because it is an old tire. We don't want to damage the tire putting it on. So it went on pretty easy. Did not need to make a video of me wrestling the tire back on the Kubota. It's great. We did not add water with the salt solution, not doing it. We'll have to do the other rim at some point. As you can see, it is in similar condition, and we'll probably just fail. Also looks like one of the seals we did previously is leaking, as is that one. And these were all new a few years ago. It's probably due to axle tolerances. We did the bearings also, are just out. They're worn. We had to replace the front axle with a used one from a Midwest place. All the splines were ripped up. The housing was completely worn out because somebody had drove it without bearings for such a long period of time that the housing would not facilitate new bearings. The parts are very rare on these. If you can find a used one for parts to keep yours good, that's great. We really like ours. It's been a workhorse. Okay, well, good luck out there, Kubota DT people. And there's completes the video series on how to fix your rusted out Kubota rim. All right, thanks for watching. And hey, if you want to critique my welding, go for it. I'm not a welder. So feel free, comment away. But the wheel's on the tractor and it works. All right, thank you.